Welcome to the Mastering Energy Medicine podcast. I'm Beth Manning, and I use my psychic healing abilities to help people uncover and heal the root cause of pain and imbalances in the body and help navigate new levels of power, purpose, and potential. This is the podcast to help you deeply connect to your body, soul, and spirit so you can heal your body, connect to your inner wise woman, make more soul-informed health choices, and fall deeply in love with your body and with your life. So welcome back to another episode of the Mastering Energy Medicine podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about healing, but in terms of how people have been referring to healing sometimes as this arduous process, this process that never ends. We see these memes about healing with the toddler with the frowny face and oh, I'm in my healing journey, I'm doing this, and the mountain of, the healing journey goes up and then down and then up and then down. And I want to offer healing from another perspective. And I think this is what really sets me apart from a lot of other healers is that I'm not just focused on the dark, but we're really focused on the light as well. And it's not that we're ignoring the dark. It's not that we're ignoring the things that need to be healed, that need to be addressed, and not spending time there. But we're doing it in a way that we can dip down and learn what we need to learn, move the energy that we need to move, understand what we need to understand, and then take this with us as we emerge back into the light, back into a place where we're not just going to sit and contemplate and say, whoo, that was a journey, wow. We're going to then do something. We're going to take an action. We're going to move ahead. We're going to, use this, what we've learned about ourselves, the new energy that we're in, to start moving forward in life. And I think that that is an approach to healing that makes healing so much more approachable. And I love this because this is much the way that I was in my healing journey. It was a process. It was a journey. It wasn't a race to the finish line and, oh, I have to, go so deep and unearth 50 things about myself that need to be healed and then dive into that and stay down in that area forever. I like to take a more realistic, hopeful, light approach when it comes to healing. Even when we're healing really heavy stuff, I don't believe that we have to stay down there with the heaviness. And what I love about energy work is that we can lead people through these beautiful journeys to have these realizations, to see what they need to see, to understand what they need to, but then we can come back up. So let's dive into this a little bit more so that if you're feeling like, oh, I need some healing, or I know that I need to address this thing in my life that feels like, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but I don't know if I can, if I can keep going back there and to this dark place. And if you're feeling like, you're ready, but you're not ready to keep going with this process, to do a little bit more digging, to do more of this work. So I think that one of the reasons why it's easy to get stuck in the healing is that oftentimes I see people kind of dipping their toe into healing. They're not fully committed. They're part way in. And so they're not necessarily going deep enough to get a huge benefit from the work that they're doing, but it's kind of just enough to feel like, okay, I'm doing my healing. I'm reading this self-help book and I'm doing the prompts, or like I see a therapist a couple of times a month, or, whatever it is. But it's not necessarily touching deep enough on the things that are really causing the discomfort in your life, or the fact that you keep attracting the same partner, or that you can't get that better job that you want, or that the same outcomes keep happening to you, or the same pain or symptoms keep happening in your body. It's likely that, this kind of toe dipping is happening where you're not really going deep enough to get to the realization that the understanding, the subconscious processing that needs to happen to really start to clear the energy that's attracting those patterns into your life. And I think it can be really trendy to be in the healing process. Like, healing is kind of a trendy thing of like, okay, I meditate, and, I do this, and I go on a retreat, and, I follow all these people on Instagram that are talking about, different methods of healing. And it can be kind of like this trendy thing of like, oh, well, what are you doing? What flavor of healing are you doing? And whereas, like, I think a lifelong healing practice is just really important for a human in general, right? We're always healing, we're always going to deeper levels. But once again, it's like, committing and doing the depth of it, and not just sampling different things, but going deep enough with something to make a difference. Because the amazing thing about healing is it's like, I kind of see it different stages of it. Like, the first stage is that, we're kind of dealing with the deeper stuff that's there, bringing light to that deeper stuff. But eventually, once you've cleared a lot of, that major pattern, or that kind of, original wound, whatever we want to call it, then healing becomes like, it's kind of like building the capacity to put a race car engine into you, right? It's like building this capacity for infinite potential. Because, I mean, the way that energy works is that if you want to align to something, you have to build the capacity for it. You have to have the capacity to hold it. So you can keep doing energy work to open up so much potential for yourself, to break patterns, to just astound yourself with what you're capable of. And that's what I think is so cool, is that we can just keep tweaking this system that we have. We can keep doing the work, creating the space, helping to then create expansion work so that our DNA, our nervous system, our cells, our body in general can hold the things that we want in life. And it's like we can just keep recreating ourselves. How amazing is that? And that's why I really think, having this lifelong energy and healing that we're doing is just, it's like it just creates so much potential and so much promise to that we can step into. Really, the sky is the limit with our imagination and what we can then create for ourselves. And I think I want to touch on one more thing too, with why we get stuck sometimes in this healing. And that's that we can get in healing ruts. Like, maybe you've had times when, you're working with somebody and it's like you like the person, but you're kind of not getting any better. Maybe you made some big improvements and now you're kind of just in this holding pattern. Or there's a specific therapy that once worked really well for you, but now, it's good, but you're not really making the same kind of improvements. So I think it's important to have different modalities, different things that we do. I know over the years, things that once worked well for me, like they don't work so well anymore. So I've shifted what I do. And, I don't think there's any one strategy for up leveling or healing. Everyone is different. And I think at different times in our lives, we have different requirements and different needs and different things that fill those needs. So I definitely invite you, if you're feeling a little stuck or stagnant in your progress or how your body's feeling, to be open-minded about asking, like, okay, what's next for me? What's next in my healing? What does my body want? And how can I best support it right now? And if you ask those questions of the universe, you will likely, if you are paying attention, start to get those signs, start to get those intuitive hits of like, okay, this is the next thing for me. But with healing, I want to really emphasize that it's important to get uncomfortable for sure. That's, that friction, that discomfort, those realizations that come from the discomfort, that's really where a lot of the magic happens. But we also need to come up for air. We don't need to stay down there. We don't need to stay in our stuff. We don't need to have it be this constant thing. And the beautiful thing about energy work is that it takes place in our body. It doesn't take place in the mind. The mind is where we ruminate. The mind is where we chew on something, a problem, a characteristic about ourselves, a pattern we keep getting stuck in. We can just chew on it endlessly in our mind. And your mind doesn't really come up with a solid solution. You're usually just going to experience more anxiety or more what ifs. Whereas when we bring this into the body, when we can say, okay, the energy of that fear is stored in your solar plexus, let's go remove it. Let's go replace it with something that feels better. And this is something we can do in one session. It's a whole lot different. It's a whole lot different and a whole lot quicker. So it's really important to do the work, but to also have some integration periods to come up for air, to celebrate. I mean, I think celebrating is such an undervalued part of this. It's like celebrating your wins, celebrating when you wake up and you don't have that symptom, celebrating when you go to your family reunion and you don't have that pattern or you don't take home all their garbage, right? So it's so important. And your body responds so well to this celebration too. That's where the lightness comes in. And that's where your body says, yeah, I want to work together because you're celebrating me. You see me, you feel me, right? So that's another really important part of this healing process. And, that's why I really see it as kind of like cyclical, right? We're down, but then we're up. We're down, but then we're up. And every time we go down, we can come up even faster because we're starting to groove these new patterns. We're starting to groove this new energy. And we don't have to stay down here. We don't have to make this an incredibly heavy, miserable process because we can't stay in that muck forever. And I'd invite you, if you feel like there's a benefit to staying down in that muck, like if you feel yourself really drawn to like, no, I just want to keep kind of like I'm down there and you're hesitant to come up, I want you to look at that, because sometimes we can get really kind of addicted to the healing process. It's like, we want to sometimes create like it's easier to have something that we have to focus on, I can keep focusing on this problem. And in a way, it separates you from reality and from yourself and from really feeling into what's going on and what your body's asking for. So if you feel like that's what's happening, I want you to start digging into, okay, what are the fears of if I move past this, if I don't have this thing in my life anymore, like who would I have to be? What would I have to do? How would I show up? Sometimes there's a lot of fear in that because we like to be stuck in our problem because then we have a problem. Then we don't have to show up fully. Then we have an excuse to get out of things. Then people treat us a certain way. Then we don't have to feel uncomfortable about doing new things. And these are all very real and they're all very okay because they're survival processes that we have learned in order to feel safe. So it's just a matter of starting to understand what's happening so that we can start to shift things for ourselves. And I think the biggest thing with keeping healing from feeling too heavy and keeping us kind of stuck in the healing process is that you must start moving, you must start taking action. So this is really the secret sauce of healing. So we've done the work, we've shifted the energy, we know what beliefs are holding us back, we've got new beliefs, we understand the pattern, we're seeing it. So now the most important thing is to take that and move forward somehow. Because what happens is the energy literally gets stuck and stagnant. And when we take an action, we not only say to the universe, this is what I want. This is who I'm showing up as. This is what I'm moving toward, which the universe loves. It loves it because then it's like, oh my gosh, now I can give you what you want. I can give it to you. That's great. I don't have to guess because it doesn't want to guess. It's not going to guess. Right? So, and it starts getting that momentum. It starts getting that energy moving forward in a direction. And especially this year, the energy of this year does not want to stop and be stagnant. It doesn't want to wait for you to make a decision, right? It's like that old commercial where, everybody is paying with a credit card and then somebody stops to write a check. Okay, that's what this is the year to make decisions, to step forward, to say, oh, I've had this new realization, and now I'm going to put it into a plan. I'm going to put it into action. And then you'll see your life start to shift in even bigger ways. So that's how to really get the most out of your healing work, is when you're taking what you learned and then you're making decisions, you're moving forward with it. That's the real secret sauce to healing. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode and watching this episode on YouTube. You can find out more about how we can work together in the show notes. I help people kind of with that cyclical healing process, finding the lightness, moving forward, taking the action, and really moving people through healing in a much more accelerated way. Like, I wish I had known this when I first started healing, that there is a quicker, faster way to see results and to start to feel better in your life. So I will link all of that to the show notes, how you can do a one-on-one session with me, how you can book a connection call, or if you just want to grab a freebie, I have a couple of things below. I have a healing jumpstart, which really walks you through the different aspects of healing, the energetic, the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, so you can get a better feel for how to start to heal yourself. I also have a symptoms cheat sheet where you compare what you're feeling to some potential underlying energies and emotions. So if you enjoyed this, please share this with a friend, and I would love for you to give this a starred rating and a review. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you next time on the Mastering Energy Medicine podcast.